There's been a big debate over the years over the caliber 5.56 versus 7.62 by 3.9. And typically that debate is surrounded by the AR-15 versus the AK-47. One of the big things about the AR-15 is the controls, plus being able to attach optics easily, and all the aftermarket parts that come with it. One of the things about the AK-47, it is super reliable. They just work. Been proven around the world. But to be honest with you, most of your modern AR-15s just work. I have very few problems with the AR-15s that I have. In fact, pretty close to 99%. It's very rare. And I do shoot a lot, but I have a lot of ARs to move in and out. So one of the things that Windham Weaponry has done is produced a really high quality AR-15 in the 7.62 by 3.9 configuration. So it gives you almost the best of both worlds in a way. And so we're going to take a look at the SRC or Sight Ready Carbine from Windham Weaponry in 7.62 by 3.9. First thing we're going to do is remove the magazine, make sure the gun isn't loaded, chamber clear. Windham Weaponry has an excellent reputation for making really high quality rifles. They were the original Bushmaster before they were bought out by Freedom Group. And they make really high quality parts and accessories for the AR and AR rifles. I own one of the MPC carbines, and I also own one of the SRC 308 carbines. Both of them have been just excellent. This is no different. There are a lot of great things. In fact, I was a little dubious about this rifle at first because I'd heard a lot of things about 7.62 by 3.9. But I wanted to find out about it myself with the AR-15. A lot of people will go with this in lieu of buying an AK. Guys that are really into the AR-15 platform. And of course, a lot of people are out there building. So this makes an excellent candidate for another caliber. And 7.62 by 3.9 is quite a bit cheaper typically. So it makes it really desirable to find something in this caliber. But we're going to look at some of the features of this carbine, and then we're going to go into some of the details and some of the issues that people have or have had with the 7.62 by 3.9 in an AR. Now, one of the things that I've always kind of held back for getting one of the ARs in the 7.62 was with magazines. You know, I felt like they're very proprietary. You're not necessarily going to be able to find them. But I was very pleasantly surprised. These magazines, there are a lot of different sources with Midway and just a ton of sources. And these run about the $16, $17 range. That's about the same price as your AK-47 magazine. You know, typically you can get the AR magazines for a little cheaper. And that is not really prohibitive of collecting a few of these magazines to put back with your rifle. The magazine is a 30-round steel magazine. The barrel is 16 inches, so you've got your standard configuration of your AR-15 in the 5.56. Pretty much all the same specs. The weight on the rifle is just a touch over 6.5 pounds. You take out the magazine and of course that reduces it. So you have a really handy light rifle. But now let's talk about why would you want an AR-15 in the AK-47 platform. And I think one of the biggest things, especially for AR-15 owners, is that it's really easy to transition. You've got all the same controls. But one of the biggest things I think is the optics readiness of the 7.62 by 3.9 in this platform. It's really easy to attach optics to your AR-15. Your AK-47, typically, there's a lot more that's going on because of the dust cover, and because it wouldn't necessarily be with the AR. So I think sights, things like that, definitely with different accessories. You've got a lot of different AK-47s out there, and there's a lot of minute differences between them. And so sometimes you have to really fit parts. With the AR-15, it's pretty standardized because most of these now are going to mil-spec specifications. Another big thing is hunting. You know, if you're going to hunt, the 7.62 by 3.9 is definitely a better round. In fact, most states won't allow you to hunt with 223 or 5.56 as far as medium-sized game. So this would be a great hog gun, deer, a lot of other things that would be pretty close to about a 30-30 is what the 7.62 by 3.9 ballistically kind of runs with. And then also with self-defense. And of course, the 7.62 by 3.9 is a world-renowned combat round. 7.62 by 3.9 would be great for a home defense or a self-defense type role. And ammo cost is definitely a consideration. You're talking about steel-cased ammunition, which seems to feed fine in here. Now, one of the big things about steel-cased ammunition is you could possibly get light primer strikes because those primers are super hard. And one of the things, though, that is a remedy, if you've already checked out your bolt and everything's kind of functioning, your magazines are good, is getting a Wolf spring kit to have a little bit of a higher hammer spring, power hammer spring. And this will help you with being able to get that hammer hitting those primers. And that's one of the things, if you do have a 7.62 by 3.9 that you're having problems with. This one, we did not have any issues with anything. I mean, this really fed very well. Of course, the one big plus for the AK-47 is that it is super reliable. I mean, they just function, and they're world-renowned for that. There have been some issues with the 7.62 by 3.9 and the AR-15, and so that could be a consideration. Again, the Windham seems to be doing fine. They've addressed all the issues, in my opinion, that would make this a reliable rifle. And I guess one of the last things, even though the magazines are fairly inexpensive and they seem to be available in a lot of different places, they're not going to be quite as plentiful as your AK-47 magazines, which are all around. With the Windham Weaponry, it only comes with the one magazine, but again, Midway and a lot of other companies carry these magazines. And one great thing about the AR is it does have the last round bolt hold open. And that makes it really nice. That's one of the things about the AK that I personally would like to change. And you can by getting magazine followers that have the last round bolt hold open feature. Which, you know, those are available from different sources. So that really answers that problem, but this already holds the bolt open on the last round. Okay, the barrel has the M4 profile. It is 4150 chrome moly vanadium steel. So you've got really high quality steel. It is marked at the top, which is good, because if you didn't have it marked, you may not know, but it's the 7.62 by 3.9. It does have your standard bird cage. Now I say standard configuration. If you're going to replace this bird cage with a compensator, you're going to need to look at the 7.62 diameter bird cage, which they make a ton of those for the AR-15 and for the 308 or the AR-10. Those will work. You have a gas block here with a Picatinny rail on top. Be careful not to use the Magpul M-Bus sights on here. You may want to go with the Pros. You need something metal to go here because this does get pretty hot. It has the A2 clamshell type fore-end. These are nice. They're thin here, and they do have the heat reflectors inside the handguards. The upper and lower receiver are mil spec. They are forged 7075 T6 aluminum, and they have a really nice dark anodized finish on here. One thing about Windham, they do a really nice black anodizing. It's really hard coat. It's going to last a long time. But everything else is pretty much mil spec, pretty standard. But now to get to some differences, we're going to open up the receiver. We're going to go ahead and pull off our upper. The bolt carrier group is your M16 or full auto bolt carrier group with the shroud complete right here. Your bolt is Carpenter 158 steel. Everything pretty much looks just like your standard M16 bolt carrier group. In fact, here we have one laying right next to it. And here there's really no difference even underneath. But there are some major differences, and that's with the bolt itself. The 7.62 by 3.9 bolt is here at the bottom, and then your standard AR-15 bolts here. You can see these grooves here. This designates the 7.62 by 3.9. So you don't get them confused, because really, when you're looking at them side by side, there's not a lot of differences. If as far as in this direction. Even your cam pins, your firing pin. But here is the biggest difference. Your standard 5.56 bolt carrier face has thicker walls. Here with the 7.62, you have thinner walls, and that's to accommodate the 7.62 by 3.9 round. And so this is going to be one of the big differences between these two, and one reason why you definitely don't want to mix these up. One thing a lot of people do is modify the firing pin. Because usually with the reason why a lot of people go with the 7.62 by 3.9 is because of the cheap imported ammunition. And they typically have really hard primers. So sometimes people will take this little area right here and cut this down just a touch so the firing pin will move in just a little bit. If you do something like that, which I'm not recommending you do it, but if you do, you need to make it really a very small cut into thousandths of an inch. Also, some take right here and cut this area back just a little bit. Again, I'm not telling you to do that. One of the things I found with the Windham Weaponry 7.62 by 3.9 is that it functioned without any problems. We didn't have any hiccups except when we tried to use the M16 magazines for the 5.56. Using that was a problem. Otherwise, there were no issues, period. Now, one of the big downsides to the AR platform in 7.62x39 has been the magazines. It's been hit or miss. They've not been that reliable. It has been a problem with a lot of these rifles. That's one of the things, though, that has come to light is there are a lot of companies now making really reliable 7.62x39 magazines. This is one from Windham Weaponry, and it is the ASC. Armalite also make some, and there are different companies that are putting out some really high quality magazines. First thing we're going to do, though, is look at the difference, because when you look at the top of this magazine, it looks just like your 5.56 magazine or M16. But there are some differences. In fact, at the range, we loaded up some rounds in a 20 rounder M16 magazine, and we had a lot of problems.
It nosedive. Just didn't pull it out of the magazine. There it went. Yep, nosedives. Yeah.
One of the big issues is the 7.62 that's on the right is tapered. It's a very gradual taper all the way down. The case is tapered. With your 5.56, it is a straight walled case all the way down. Now here we have a steel AK magazine next to the 7.62x39 AR magazine, and then we have a standard M16 military surplus magazine. It does have one of the mag pulls on the end. Even though the AR-15 does have a slight taper just to help with reliability, the AR 7.62x39 definitely has a much more defined curve, and that really is going to help. And then, of course, with the AK-47, it is curved all the way around, and so you need to get that curvature in there to be able to have reliable feeding. We have the standard M16 magazine on the left, and then your 7.62 magazine on the right. First off, you'll notice that the nose of the 7.62 rides up. Now, I have 7.62 in the 5.56 magazine just to demonstrate it. You're getting it bowed up more. This is going to help with reliability. I'm going to show you in the chamber in just a minute, but that's one of the problems, is the nose diving into the front of the chamber. So you see here, you've got it kind of rising up. Part of that has to do with the feed lips right here. They're higher up. You can see here they go up higher. Now you also have more surface area to the case, which is going to allow it to be contained even better. Here you're going to have a little more problem. You can see this one already almost wants to come out because the feed lip doesn't surround it. This is much more stable. Also, you see right here with these dimples down here, this is going to actually assist your 5.56, but it's going to hinder your 7.62x39. So the magazine has a big difference. Also, it needs to be a little stronger. The sides of the magazine will bow out because of the larger diameter of your 7.62x39. With the 5.56, it's not as important. And you can see right here that there is some differences with some of the forms on the side of the magazine. Now, one of the things that's been done to correct the issue of any kind of feeding problem are the M4 feed ramps that have been expanded right here for the 7.62x39 round. These are much larger than your standard M4 feed ramps, and it does come into the upper receiver. So this is going to allow for positive feeding along with the good magazines. If you're having problems with feeding, typically it's either because this isn't cut out correctly or you're using just cheap magazines. I definitely would recommend getting high quality magazines. Again, if they're only 16, 17 bucks a piece, I think you need to invest in that to have a good, reliable rifle. Here's a couple of 50-yard groups. We were just shooting with a red dot sight, and so in fact we had to sight it in while we were there, just kind of hit or miss. So once we got it dialed in, we got some pretty decent groups just kind of peppering just that center area. But one of the big questions of the day is price. You know, buying an AK-47 for around $700 seems like that's what they've been going for lately. Compared to the MSRP on the Windham Weaponry is $1,056. Now, with that being said, I went straight to a site called gunbuyers.com. They had the Windham Weaponry SRC for $756, which to me is a great price. If you're going to build one of the ARs in 7.62x39, I would definitely do a lot of research before I did it. But I think if you want a really great AR-15 in that caliber, the Windham Weaponry SRC carbine is just a fantastic choice. They're well made. They're made right there in Windham, Maine. Has a long tradition of building and making AR-15s. So check out WindhamWeaponry.com. There's a lot of different type rifles there that they do, a lot of different calibers, and a lot of other cool things that you don't see with other AR-15 companies. There's a lot of companies that have come and gone that just build ARs. Windham Weaponry is one that stood the test of time. And again, my first AR, that was around 30 years ago when I bought it. And it was a Bushmaster that was made right there in Windham, Maine. I still have it, and it still has Windham, Maine on the side of the receiver. The SRC 7.62x39 carbine by Windham Weaponry, thumbs way up. Dang, that was a mouthful. They need to come up with a different name for 7.62x39. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Okay, here we have the M16 magazine on the left, and then your standard. Okay, here we have the standard AM. Here we have your standard AK. Okay. Here we have the standard AR. Now Windham uses 4150 chrome moly vanadium barrels.
That camera was doing that number.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, it might as well have been, because it wasn't on.
Oh, are you serious?
I feel like I've been going non-stop ever since I started the camera. This rifle has a lot of cool features, but good grief, man, I'm gonna have to have a break.